Hey everyone, and welcome back to Rank and File Sports with Jonah and Connor. Today we're going to be continuing our schedule previews with the Clemson Tigers. We'll be releasing these videos in the order of our way too early top 25. And once we're through with that, we'll be continuing through the rest of the Power Four. So please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on your favorite team's video, as well as our official team by team predictions over the summer. Taking a look at this Clemson schedule, they have 7 games at home and 5 on the road, but overall, very, very difficult. A lot of games stick out here. You got LSU, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, SMU, Louisville, South Carolina. A lot of games here that could go either way. So it's going to be a tough year for Clemson.
Yeah, opening up with a home game against LSU. LSU obviously returning Garrett Nussmeier, who is projected to be a Heisman favorite going into next season. This will be a very interesting game, but considering that Clemson will be the home team, and I personally believe that Kate Klubnik will be a better quarterback next season, we have Clemson at about a 60% chance to win that game. After that, playing against Troy. Troy's given a couple teams some scares over the years, but overall, I don't believe they will be competitive enough to pose a threat to Clemson. So we have that as a 100% chance for Clemson. Georgia Tech is an interesting game, especially at Georgia Tech. Haynes King is returning, and we saw Georgia Tech take down some really, really good teams last year. There was the overtime game against Georgia. Obviously, they didn't win that game, but was very competitive considering how good Georgia has been. The win over Miami, and then opening the season with a win over Florida State. Granted, Florida State was not the team that they were ranked at the beginning of the season as, but this Georgia Tech team will be a very interesting matchup for Clemson. But at the end of the day, I do think that Clemson will be the stronger team and will walk away with a win. In this case, it is about a 65% chance we could see Georgia Tech pulling off an upset, but definitely a game to look out for. And then following that, home against Syracuse. Syracuse losing key guys from last season that made them competitive. Clemson will be the better team on paper going into this game. So we give them about an 85% chance to get a win before going into their first bye week.
And out of that first bye week is a really intriguing matchup going to Chapel Hill to play North Carolina and Bill Belichick. Belichick versus Dabo Sweeney. That was not on my bingo card for this season. But we're still going to give Clemson about a 70% chance to win. I can't see North Carolina quite building up a roster that's talented enough to compete with Clemson in this game. Even though, I mean, you got the transfer portal window still, they have the home field advantage. I still like Clemson here in this game. About a 70% chance there. At Boston College, this one, Boston College is losing a lot. They lost Castellanos to the transfer portal. So we like Clemson on the road at about an 85% chance. And then finally, before the second bye week, you got SMU, a rematch of the 2024 ACC Championship. This one, SMU should have a real shot in. Kevin Jennings is coming back for the Mustangs, and overall, a really solid team. SMU's got to go on the road, but this should be a really good game here. Clemson's going to be slight favorites at about 60%, but definitely should be on upset watch heading into bye week number 2.
And coming out of that second bye week, they will be taking on the Blue Devils of Duke at home. Other than 2 years ago with Riley Leonard as their quarterback, Duke has just been about an average team. So we have Clemson with about an 85% chance to come out with a win. Florida State the following week. Florida State's maybe gaining a little bit of momentum, but compared to Clemson, compared to Dabo Sweeney finally using the transfer portal, they should be the better team, and we give them about an 80% chance to beat Florida State, although Florida State will be a more competitive team than they were last season. Going to Louisville the following week. Louisville was interesting last year. They had some really competitive games against really good teams, but they also had some low lights against some poor teams or getting blown out by the great teams last season. So it could be an interesting one for Clemson, but we do think Clemson has about a 70% chance of taking a victory on the road here. Furman, it's it's Furman. I sorry to all the Furman fans that might be watching this video, but Clemson is going to be the more talented team in this game. They will walk out with a win at home before going on the road to face South Carolina. South Carolina is one of the hottest teams in college football. We are very high on this team and think they will be successful next season. With it being a road game for Clemson and with how much talent we think South Carolina will have, we have South Carolina favored in this game. We give Clemson about a 45% chance in this game to walk out with a win. This is the most interesting game, in my opinion, for Clemson all season.
On behalf of all Furman fans, I am really offended by that. The just completely discounting the Furman football team and everything they've done in the past few seasons in whatever conference they're in.
Hey,
Um,
Furman basketball, on the other hand, shout out
yeah,
for a
watch
couple.
out in March Madness. But overall for Clemson, a lot of games here to watch out for. I listed them earlier: LSU, Georgia Tech, North Carolina. You got SMU, Louisville, and South Carolina. Out of those six games, I think they're probably going to get half of them as wins and drop the other three. What do you think, Connor?
I've been going back and forth with this one between three losses and two losses. I do think the South Carolina game is going to be a signature win for the Gamecocks. Um, and then the LSU game is very interesting. It's the beginning and the end of Clemson seasons. That's the interesting ones. I do think that they can get a win against LSU, but it will be interesting. And then between the Georgia Tech, SMU, Louisville, and North Carolina games, I could see them losing one or two of those. So I'm kind of torn between 10-2 and 9-3. But I do think they will sit right around there for their season record.
The 2024 record for Clemson was 10-4 as the Tigers went on to win the ACC and then lost to Texas in the opening round of the college football playoff. Now, based on all of these percentages from the last screen, we do have a projected win total for Clemson of 9.05 and 2.95. So almost 9-3. However, after a lot of debate, Connor and I have decided that we think Clemson is going to go 10-2. There's six tough games on the schedule, but we really do believe that Cade Klubnik is going to have a really solid year for the Tigers. And in the end, they'll be able to win a majority of those six games, getting them to a 10-2 record and potentially a college football playoff berth. Now, the over under from Vegas is sitting at 9.5 wins, and they're actually favored to go under at minus 162 odds. But for right now, we feel pretty good that there's a really good shot that Clemson can get over that 9.5 wins and finish the season at 10-2. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.